Hey everyone, my name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. If you like making money, subscribe to the channel. We talk about undervalued investments, mainly in the commodities sectors, but I do look at other sectors to see what other values out there, and I usually present whatever I think is the best value in the world to everyone on the channel. So if that sounds interesting to you, subscribe, give me a thumbs up for this content, and if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave it below in the comments description area. So I'm going to go over an overall market update. I'm going to go over yields, dollar, some of the main indices like the Nasdaq, see what that's doing. And then I'm going to go over some of the ETFs to give us kind of a big picture view. And we'll look at some of the market leaders in the technology area. So go in here. This is technical analysis on the overall market update. So this is the 10-year. We're continuing to move up strongly. We do have a couple of pullback days here, but overall, we are still in a very strong uptrend. I don't see this. It's going to take some time for this to break if we are going to break it, but I don't foresee it going down for a while. I think we are establishing a new uptrend where we're going to see higher yields unless an external force acts upon it, like yield curve control or something like that. And I don't know at what point they're going to do that if they're going to do it. The dollar has been moving on up for a short-term movement. You can see here we've got nice big large candlestick up days with the smaller down days for pullbacks. We have a bullish piercing here, and we're starting to move on up. This is going to provide a headwind on the short term for a lot of our investments in commodities. So I think we're going to see a short-term pullback. I'm being patient and I'm keeping money and kind of taking my income and holding it on the side for when this thing pulls back and bottoms, whenever that may be. I'll start to redeploy money and cost average in when I see those bottoms, or whenever I think it's going to be a bottom. Now, the Nasdaq Composite, this thing looks pretty tippy, and the things that I look for is I look for big bearish engulfings all through here, and there's a whole bunch. They're sprinkled everywhere. And then we see the pullback here, so we get a nice kind of impulse move downward, and then a fight and struggle back up. And now we are selling off again, coming on down with a nice big bearish engulfing right here. And then you can see the candlestick body size is quite large. So I think we're going to head back down for a little bit, a little longer. Here is the Rare Earth Strategic Metals Fund. We are selling off quite hard here. We've got nice big body candlestick days. Volume's a little bit pronounced here. So we are selling off. We are pulling back. This could be a shoulder developing. We might pull back maybe into this range in here, around like a 57 to 55, somewhere in that range, where it could pull back down pretty quick. And then we'll have to evaluate what the charts look like when it gets down there. Looking at it from a little bit bigger picture, weekly candlestick, it looked like it came up and hit its head and then kind of pulling back a little bit. This thing is quite volatile. We did kind of rip through this thing from $40 to $90 quite quickly. So this is a very large move. We came up against some good selling resistance in this $90 range, and we're coming back down. I would be looking to be a buyer somewhere, probably, if I were to look, somewhere in this range in the 50s, 55, 56, 57, depending on where it kind of wherever it gets some support and starts to contract and get some support. That's where I'd be looking. But we could be in some short-term pain before this thing kind of finds its footing. Here is the North Shore Global Uranium Mining. This was looking fantastic on the upside here. Lots of strength, lots of volume, lots of big candlestick up days. And then you can kind of see that this move is larger than this move and is larger than this move, and it's losing its momentum. It's starting to turn. And what we see right now is we have a wick at the top. That means that it came up and reversed quite hard. And now we've got a bearish engulfing on a weekly candlestick pattern here. So I think this is going to go down in the short term. We're going to see a pullback. So we saw the momentum kind of dissipate up here. It tried to move a little bit higher. There's sellers up here, and I think it's going to come on back down with this bearish engulfing pattern. So what I'm doing is I'm not selling anything. I'm not trading in and out. I'm treating this as an investor, and I'm treating it like it's the most undervalued sector with the highest leverage in a commodity bull market that's coming. So I'm holding on, and I'm going to be looking at what companies I want to purchase in the future on the bottom of this pullback. So we have to be patient. I'm going to wait for this thing to kind of pull back, and hopefully it does pull back, because I'd like to add to some of my companies that I think are going to do well in the future. And I'll share that later when these things pull back and how much they pull back, because it's not about choosing a particular company just because you like the company. What I do is I look for bargains. If some companies got sold off very deep, I may be more enticed to go into those versus one that didn't really have a large pullback. So I'm just waiting to see which ones pull back the most. But I think we're going to have a pullback just looking at this. XLE, if you draw the chart going through here where you have these guys hitting this resistance line, looks like we went right up very quickly because there wasn't much resistance through here. So we've shot right up, hit our head on this first resistance line and kind of bouncing on back. Pretty normal, especially after a move from $27.50 all the way up to about $50-something. I mean, that's a big move. It's got to consolidate. It's got to digest those gains. We hit our head on this resistance. It's probably going to come back a little bit, form kind of like a handle or something like that, and then probably try to break through and move on higher later on, maybe the summer or something like that. Then we got Global X Copper Miners. This one's looking, it's looking good. We had a massive move. It went from $10 in March all the way to $40, and it's pulling on back to this, I'll call it support line here. Maybe it doesn't hold. Maybe we come back to $27.50 or something like that, because this was a big move in a very short period of time. So I'm starting to see these things kind of pull back. I would be patient here. Look for reversal patterns. Look at other sectors to see how they're doing. With the Nasdaq looking as weak as it is, with the other sectors looking as weak as it is, I think we're going to see a little bit of a pullback here. Just overall. Commodities and technology in a bunch of things. This is the silver continuous contract, same thing. We've got two large down weeks coming. This is a weekly candlestick. Two big down weeks, and then the small little pull up here. The rollover with the bearish engulfing, I think we're going to head lower. We're probably just breaking out of this support trend line here. So I think we're going to head on down a little bit. How far? Not exactly sure, but I'm looking for a move to the downside. I don't see a ton of large up candlestick days in here. I see this big down one, and then we're struggling to get back up to the top of this guy, and it's starting to roll back over, and we're breaking this kind of support line, trend line here. So look for downside. That's what I'm looking for. Same with gold. Gold's doing the same thing. Nice 3-week. This is weekly candlesticks. Weeks coming down, small pull up, bearish engulfing. I think we're going to head lower here. So get ready. Get ready. Crude, here's our downtrend line. We broke through it quite nicely. We reversed, and we're coming on back, and we're probably going to find some support here any second. So we'll see what this looks like. This is a weekly candlestick basis, so I'd like to see some support where the opening and closing price for the week contracts down and the buyers start equaling the sellers here. That's what I'd like to see some support. Copper, the price of copper, same thing. We broke through this resistance line here. Probably going to come back and maybe test it. So I think we just got to be patient on a lot of these. Patience. Here's platinum. You can see this resistance line coming through here in a megaphone pattern. We were kind of coming back and forth between this pattern here. We popped out. This was a great opportunity to buy. Came back up. We popped out, came back in. We got to see what happens. Maybe we move up. Maybe we move on back lower. Maybe we get another really good buying opportunity, maybe in the 900s down here. That would be a great buying opportunity if it came down to the 900s. Do I think it's going to go there? I don't know. I just watch. I have money ready. And if these things pull back and I see a reversal pattern, I'm gonna deploy some more money in. So I'm being patient here. This is Palladium. Palladium's in it's kind of a upward channel here. It came all the way up, hit its head, and then came back down into the channel. And it's still moving up in its channel. It's looking pretty strong. So I would expect Palladium, if it has this much strength, I expect Platinum to eventually have this much strength as well. Now I'm going to go into some individual companies that look pretty weak. These were market leaders. These were companies that were very strong, and now they're looking pretty dang weak. I'm going to show you what I'm seeing in the charts here. So coming on up, this looks fantastic. Large candlestick up days, very small down days. It just kept going up and going up. Then all of a sudden, big bearish engulfing right here. We're starting to see all these down days, like something's changed. And even right here, we're seeing massive sell-off. So is this a normal pullback, or is this a big downtrend or uptrend line that broke and it's starting to put in a top? It's early to tell. I don't like jumping on these things, but when you start looking across the sector at all these technology companies, they look like they're putting in tops. And if the technology sector puts in a major top and starts to really sell off, it could drag other sectors with it. And that's why I'm sharing this on the channel. So this is Roku. This was kind of a market leader here. And it's starting to pull back here. Bearish engulfing. We got big down candlesticks, and the up days are pretty muted. We do have a bullish engulfing here, but we sold right back off. The sellers are there, and they're making a statement. They're finding their way in the trade desk. I mean, look at the sell-off, the big move here. It was like punched down. There's no more big up days. It tried it right here, but the sellers answered right on back. See ya, we're pulling you down. They tried to pull this thing up, but see all the small up days with these large down days? This is a signature trade that this thing's going to go down. This could be a top. So get ready and be watching these things, because we could see a top in the technology sector here. Salesforce, and I'm just taking some random ones. Dark cloud cover here, bearish engulfing here, coming over. Another huge bearish engulfing pattern here. This thing's going down. 1, 2, 3, maybe like a short-term triple top. Boom, punched lower. You're seeing a bearish piercing here, coming on up, getting punched lower, bearish engulfing. I mean, this thing's starting to open up with some pretty big down days. This looks like a topping type pattern to me. I don't want to be in Salesforce. Tesla, same thing. I called, like, it was looking kind of weak even back in this area back here. So it was losing momentum, and then all of a sudden, look at all the I'd say right here, look at all the down days. They're sprinkled everywhere. There's hardly any up days in here, and they're starting to get bigger and bigger, the down days. So watch this, because I know a lot of people, they don't care about Tesla, and I don't necessarily care about Tesla either, but if you're seeing the entire technology sector really start to come under pressure, and I know Tesla's one of the leaders here, we're going to have to watch this, because they're looking very toppy. They look like they're about to turn and come to the downside, and they could drag our sectors with it. Now, I'm not afraid, because I know that the value's on our side. I know that copper and nickel and gold, silver, any way you look at it, their valuations are super low. So what I am perceiving this as is I'm looking at the value going, all right, we know we've got good value here. We're about to have maybe another very good buying opportunity in a lot of these companies. We're starting to see our sectors starting to come down. Uranium, oil, copper, they're starting to get a little weak, the rare earth metals. If these things can pull back some, this is my viewpoint is I'm going to be aggressive when the time comes. If we get a pullback, and I want a pullback, because I can load up on these companies that I really like for cheap. This could take some time to play out, so be patient. Maybe the Harry Dent's right. Maybe he not. I don't think we're going to have some massive crash, and maybe we do. I don't know. But if we do have this thing pull back on us, and it pulls back a substantial amount, we might have some really good buying opportunities coming. I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to be trading in and out. I am very happy with my buy points that I've gotten. I'm happy with the cost averaging in that I've done. I know the value's there. I know that the underlying structural deficit in the real estate market is going to have to play itself out with higher prices. So this is going to be a short-term blip, I think. I think it's going to drag down our sectors, which is good if you believe in the thesis, if you believe in the commodities boom that's coming. The reason I don't want to be going in and out is if this thing reverses on us very quickly, I don't want to be left out of it, because the asymmetric bets, the asymmetry of the commodity sector is so large that I don't want to be left out. I don't want the boat or the airplane to take off, however you want to say it. I don't want that thing to go and be left out of the stocks. It's so asymmetric and the valuations are so cheap that I'm afraid to not be in it. So I don't want to be left out. That's why I'm not selling. Even though these may look toppy, I'm staying in it. That's me, not financial advice or anything like that. That's just me. I got left out last time, and that's not going to happen to me again. So I'm looking to figure out ways to raise money, to work harder, get more money, and wait for a good opportunity to really start to buy into these things if it does pull back. That's my approach. If you guys have different approaches, that's have the approach that works for you. That's what I want you to do. But be ready. We could see some pullbacks here. I'm seeing the technology sector get really weak, and I'm going to continue to watch it. If this thing rolls over and pulls down, it can pull everything with it. So get ready. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate you guys listening, and thank you for being part of this channel. This is Finding Value.